I'm not really sure what year it was. I know I still had my dollhouse. It looked just like our real house. Some dolls were always busy. Others were always doing the important work. There is a little girl doll. That's me.
Chase, welcome to the Awards Tour podcast.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Very excited to talk to you about The Testaments. I absolutely just finally got caught up last night. Girl, that is a killer first season. And
Thanks.
listen, I'll talk about it because, I don't know when you filmed this in order. This is like right after you got done with One Battle. Like, what was the order of filming these two? But I will say, it's a very daunting first season, and they asked, I think, a lot of you. Talk about the scripts and the audition process, because obviously The Handmaid's Tale was just such a huge show. So to do any kind of continuation, there's a lot of pressure.
Yeah, well, for timeline question, we filmed this in, I think our first day of filming was like April of 2025. And I wrapped One Battle maybe July of 2024, I believe. And I found out I had the job around I want to say December, January. So it had been like a good amount of time between the two. But that whole audition process, I remember getting an email in my inbox saying that, well, they hid what the show was called and what it was based off of. And I was like, okay, this is interesting. But you can kind of get an idea when you start to read the script and you're like, okay, they're speaking very differently to how we're speaking, and the names and everything were hidden, but I could kind of get a sense that I was like, okay, this is the Handmaid's Tale sequel, The Testaments, because it's very distinct in the way that people talk and the way that they behave. But I got an email in my inbox, I want to say like beginning of November or something, asking for me to audition for it, and I read the first script and I was like, oh, definitely. Like, I loved the idea of getting to dive into a world that was so, I guess, well built out and was very different to, I guess, like also the other projects I have done compared to like Presumed Innocent and compared to One Battle, especially. Like The Testaments is very different to both of those. And so that idea of getting to dive into a world that was distinctly different in that way, I found to be very interesting. And I think I sent in my first audition via self-tape, and then I met with Bruce Miller, the showrunner, twice after that to do two separate callbacks. And then I think I found out maybe December or January. And then we were filming in April. And I flew out here maybe a month before we started filming just to have a bunch of fittings and get to know the cast and meet everybody. So it was a good amount of time between One Battle and this. But
Nice.
They came out so like perfectly after each other, which I still am like, how did that happen so perfectly?
Yeah. And right after your incredible Oscar run, here you are nominated for an Emmy, and very well deserved. Unfortunately, the only Emmy for the show, which I do think is a slight bittersweet moment. But I'd love for you to talk a little bit about like the world of The Handmaid's Tale, because I do feel, even though these shows were made so far apart, they very much feel like they just really did like the baton handoff. So talk about like the costumes, the sets, and how it probably feels lived in, even though it's a brand new thing.
Definitely. And I think also a lot of that lived in feel that you're talking about, that instantly came from the fact that a lot of the crew that we were working on The Testaments with were the same crew from The Handmaid's Tale. So even when we walked on to set, you felt that immediate, I guess, warmth from everybody there, because they'd gone through all 6 seasons of The Handmaids, and they just welcomed us in with open arms, and it felt like a well-oiled machine in that way. And so that instantly, outside of like the costumes and the sets and getting to meet everybody on like the production side and the writers, that was the first bit of, I guess, baton handing that we felt, because we had a shared crew. But outside of that, like getting to work with the costume designer who also worked on Handmaids, and the writers, who a lot of them came over from Handmaids. Of course, we have Bruce Miller, the showrunner from The Handmaid's Tale, worked on The Testaments too. And I think that all of those things combined, it felt very easy for, I think, like me and both everybody on the show to instantly be able to drop into the world, even though it is such a distinct sound and a distinct look. It felt easy because of the people that were around us. And we also had like amazing contact between Bruce. We had contact from Elizabeth Moss. We had contact from many people as well who were part of it. I had contact from OT because he worked on my very first job, Presumed Innocent. And so
Oh, yeah,
like
yeah.
I knew that like if I needed help with anything, I could call on Bruce, I could call on Lizzie, or I could call on OT especially. So those things like combined, it felt very easy to step into this well-oiled machine in a way.
Ah, I love that. One other aspect of the show, which I think is so interesting, is we are literally inside Agnes's mind, her diary. We definitely go to other folks like Daisy in the show and see what their perspective is, but the voiceover of everything, like this idea of really sort of having the character exist in the world a certain way, but obviously have an entirely different stream of consciousness, which I guess every performance has, but this one you also have to embody that. So I'd love for you to talk about the voiceover work, and because that's a different animal, I think, of a
Yeah.
performance.
Yeah, it was really cool because I've never gotten to do voiceover in this way. And I think one of the things I was really excited to do is because a lot of the voiceover that Agnes has, it's either her in the current moment thinking or it's her reflecting back on her past. And I think that getting to play with the two of those, even in that first script that I read, I found that to be exciting to do. But also, I didn't really know how it was going to look on the day or how we were going to necessarily, I guess, like tackle those moments where the camera's like so close to your face and all you're
Mm,
wondering is, I don't know how this voiceover is going to work. But then after the first few, we kind of figured out a routine with it. But getting to build a character and kind of play with the inner thoughts of Agnes and what she's going through, both in the moment and also reflecting back, that was really exciting to do because there's so many things that aren't said in this world and that aren't said in Gilead, and that all of these girls are suppressing, especially Agnes, with the amount of things that she goes through and the amount of things that she witnesses. Like it was just a wonderful beat to also have in building her character. You get to see her thought process behind things. And I don't know, I found it to be an interesting way of also getting to see the growth of somebody and the growth of their inner dialogue and their inner thoughts, especially at like such a formative age at 14 in this
yeah,
society
yeah.
that's completely, I guess, but completely sheltering these girls and forcing them into adulthood when they're quite literally just teenagers, like just becoming teenagers in their life. So I was very excited to do it, and it was a cool extra beat.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it adds so much to the overall performance. Obviously, it makes the things that you're doing with your physical presence even more interesting. I want to highlight one of the scenes where I feel it wasn't voiceover, it was literally just you. And that's the scene with the commanders on the screen where you go through like basically your breakdown. Listen, I was saying like I had watched to that point, but I went back to get ready for this interview and I'd watched the like last few episodes and I like made sure to watch that scene again because the thing I think is so crazy about that is you go through everything, like to the 10, back to the 6, and everywhere in between in that scene. I'd love for you to talk about setting that up. How much you got from the other side? Was it green screen with the other, like the gentleman? Like, what did you were like, I don't, okay, I don't know.
It was not green screened at all. The director for that episode, her name was Q. So a lot of the bits that we had for episode 4 and 5 specifically, she wanted to make sure that if it was something on the screen, we could actually see it on the screen. So she had it so that she recorded a bunch of different commanders moving around, and occasionally you'd think that, oh, maybe this is a picture, and you'd see somebody slightly adjust on the screen, and you're like, oh, that actually, I forgot that these are people looking back at me, and they're not just images of people. And that daunting feeling, or that uncertainty of who these people actually are, like I definitely let that fuel me within the scene. But I remember going into that scene on the day, I felt very anxious because they've built this incredible set for the Lydia school, and so all of the rooms that are in the school are actually like attached to all the different parts in the building and on the stage. And so instantly, as soon as you go onto set, you're at the school, and then you open all of these little doors, and they have like, you have the bathroom, or you have different classes. And I think that getting to see like a room that you open it up and it's completely bare outside of a table and a screen in front of you, you're kind of just like, oh, I didn't realize that it would be this terrifying. And like, the room is dark, and the environment already is very nerve-wracking, especially for Agnes, because there's so much riding on her back at that moment. Like, this is her point in time to kind of prove who she is in Gilead, and prove who she is as a woman in Gilead. And she didn't know what she was walking into in that room. And I also didn't really necessarily know the energy that would be meeting me in that room. And so I felt very anxious going into it, just as she did. But I think that, especially with like Q's guidance and conversations with Bruce before that, we really wanted to make sure that we, I guess, found a way to hit those beats, or hit a 10, as you said, or hit a 6, and make them feel streamlined, as opposed to going from 1 to 10 and then jolting from 10 to 6. And so I just remember that was a big focus from all of our ends, in making sure that there was fluidity between all of them, because there is such a range of emotions that she goes through in that moment. And yeah.
I will say, in my line of work, there's a moment that happens sometimes where you watch a scene and you're like, and that's what they're going to clip at the Emmys. You know what I mean? Like, that's the one that they queue up. I definitely felt it in that one. Another moment that I definitely want to talk about, because Agnes goes on a journey, and not to spoil the entire season, but by the time we get to the end of the season, she really does become her mother's daughter. And you see that in her, and you see the click in that, and you see the change in that. Mm-hmm. That's the only place I really feel that she lives in that season. Feel free to disagree with me. Mm-hmm. I'd be curious about that, because it's almost like you start playing a different character from then on, because that's kind of like what we lead into what we'll eventually go into what you're filming now, which is season 2. Yeah. I'm curious, did you feel that? How different is Agnes going to be from what we kind of saw in that moment in season 2, or do things continue to progress?
I want to say, like, especially I'm also not going to disagree with what you were saying in general, because she is very different from where she starts versus where she ends up in 10, and where she hopefully continues to grow. But I think, like, the energy and the place that she finishes the season off with, I think that she is going to continue to explore that in whichever way that she wants, because Daisy's kind of given her this key into her life that she's never been given through anybody else in her world. And I'm trying to like sneakily talk around things.
You do an excellent job, girl. They trained you so well. You're doing fabulous.
I hope this is making sense. But
you're good.
But like, there are so many moments from both 1 through 10 that there was little seeds that were being planted from Daisy and Agnes, or seeds that she was finding within herself that continued to grow based off of the connections that she had with Daisy, or Becca, or with anybody else in the show. And I think that she found a thing in her life that she'd always been slightly curious about, whether or not it was at the front of her mind with all of her decisions. There was always a point of curiosity in the back of her mind with who she is and the way that she moves in the world. And I think that Daisy just gave her the key to unlock that door. So I hope that she continues to explore not only who she is outside of what Gilead has trained her to be, but also for her to question herself and her surroundings and her place in this world, and Daisy's place in this world, and Becca's place in this world. So I think that, if anything, Daisy just truly gave her the key that she had always been hoping for, but she didn't expect it to be a key to this part of her life. That was a lot of dancing around.
Excellent. And hey, listen, the girl that does know how to do that, let's be real. She knows how to dance, both figuratively and literally. I want to talk a little bit about, I know you talked One Battle out. I want to talk about when you put it to bed. Now you've had a little bit of distance from that. Because I'm an Oscar awards editor. Like, that's what I do all day long. I go through this every year. It feels like basically following a group of kids to graduation every
Mm.
year, right? And then we get our end of year awards, which is the ceremony. But for
Yeah.
y'all, I know it is like literally getting shot out of the cannon. And for you, you had stuff before, but nothing is going to compare to going through an Oscar run. Now that you've had some distance from it, getting nominated for the BAFTA and the Golden Globe and all this other kind of stuff, what has been the moment that you really hold precious when you look back on that? Because I know it was a lot of dresses and a lot of sleepless nights and a lot of glam and a lot of running around. But you can look back on it now, I think, and have perspective.
Yeah. I feel like there's a lot of moments that like I look back and they bring me so much joy. And I think that like a lot of that is tied to the people I was surrounded with at that point. Like getting to be with Tiana and Leo and Sean and Benicio and Tiana and Regina and that whole run. Like that crew of people, like they made every single experience I had like a 10 out of 10 every single night because they knew that I was like very new to all of this. And then especially like Leo and Paul and Regina, like I've been with them since day one. Like they were there for my very first chemistry read. And then it was like so wonderful to get to be there on Oscar night and sitting next to Regina and beside everybody else and then getting to all go up on stage together. But I think that like some of my like truly precious moments was getting to go to the premiere in LA because that was the first time that I had seen the movie on the big screen with everybody. My family was there. That was also my first red carpet, so that was also like very special because I didn't know what I had in store, I guess, for the rest of the season. So I would say that was a very special night. And of course, Oscars night was like very special because I'd been dreaming of going since I was literally a kid. Like I literally remember I want to say it was like maybe 2022. I was about to graduate college and me and my family went on a spring break vacation to LA. But it happened to be at the time when the Oscars were happening. And so I remember like walking on to, I can't remember exactly what street it's on, but like I remember like walking around and then seeing all of these like barricades and we were like, what is going on? Like, why are there all these barricades that are like so tall? And then we were like, oh, the Oscars are happening right there. So I remember like just getting to like peep from like that much of a fence and like the smallest little circle of a fence and getting to see just a sliver of the carpet. And I was like, wow, like I hope one day I get to go to the Oscars and that would be completely insane. But then like flash forward to like what, 4 years later, 3 years later, I get
Being
to
there with the Best Picture winner, and
yeah.
yeah, come on,
like
girl.
that was a very full circle moment that just like it makes me happy for of course like it makes me happy for the film, makes me happy for Paul and everybody else, but it also just like makes me happy for like college Chase or like little Chase who like always dreamed of going. So there's so many moments that like bring me immense joy, but I think like the first showing of the movie at the LA premiere and then also the Oscars are probably like two great moments in my mind.
I dig that so much. I think it's if you say that it's about your manifesting. I have to make a confession. I've been a fangirl from younger than what you play on the show. And I have to say, in the history of fangirls, you have now won the
Thank
fangirl
you.
Olympics. If there is ever a gold medal, it's like of the fangirl manifestation track, you are Beyonce. There is no comparison. There is no like it's just we're done. We know who that is because I will say this for folks that don't know, you are a very loud and proud 18. You said it through all
Mhm.
the press run, and then more recently, you have to understand women like myself wrote fan fiction about basically what you lived, which is that the band calls you and says, "Hey, we've seen some of your TikTok dances, and we know that you're a fan. Would you like to come and hang out with us and be in our music video? Oh, yeah, and we're going to flirt with you shamelessly at every single moment that we can. And oh, yeah, will you marry all of us in the music video?" Fan fiction, ma'am. That is the stuff of AO3, and you lived it. So, pardon my digression when I say this. You won. Don't let
Thank
anybody
you.
ever like Haley Bieber, like don't get me wrong, she was up there, but you really did win. The only way you could go further is if you actually got that ring on it. I really feel this. I just want to know from you, another one that you put to bed. Like, what's it like to be you? How was that?
That whole experience, I mean, quite crazy because I love ATs. I will always talk about them in everything that I do because I've also been like I've been a fan my entire life. Like I've gone through different fandoms. Like I started off as like a Justin Bieber fan, then I was a One Direction fan, and then I was a 5 Seconds of Summer fan, and then I got into K-pop. So I've always been a fan. And like I still can't really believe the fact that I like got to go to Seoul and like meet all of them and then be in the music video. And I think like I'm still pinching myself for the fact that I got to do that because like you say things and you say things like in media or you say things in your personal life where you're like, oh, I just love this. I love this one thing. And like, I want people to share the love that I have for this one thing or this one song or one movie or whatever it may be. And I'm somebody who believes a lot in manifestation, but I never thought that like this would like that would be something that I manifested that actually happened. And I still can't really wrap my head around it, but like it was like it's literally been that's like a shining star in my mind whenever I look back on it because like everyone there was so sweet. And then like getting to be a part of a music video, which I've done before, but not in a way like this one was. And getting to also like go to a different country and explore even more than I had the first time. And I just felt like I felt surrounded by so much support. And like I don't know. Like I can't really wrap my head around it, even when I think about it now. Like I see the music video online, or like I remember like so many of my friends sending it to me right after it came out because I had to keep it a secret from everybody. And I was like, I still can't believe that I got to do that.
You're like, I don't believe this.
No, I really don't believe it. But like they just like I love them and I love ATs and I've always loved them since like the day that they debuted. But like them and their whole team of people at their agency were just so sweet. And the guys themselves were very, very sweet to me too. And like I will cherish those memories forever because like I'm an 18. I'm such a big fan and their level of talent and professionalism, but also like just getting to see them work together. Like I found it to be very inspirational too, and it made me excited to, I guess, work again too, because just seeing the joy that they have for what they do, just if anything, like reignites your love for what you do, but in a different way. And I think that like getting to share that experience with them, like that's something I will cherish forever. And yeah, I can't believe that I did that.
Well, congratulations from all of the other fellow fangirls. We both
Thank you.
love and hate
Thank
you
you.
because you won. The last thing I want to ask you about before we kind of get out of here is it kind of is crazy for me to say this, but you are not even late 20s yet. And I just saw that you are executive producing something already. Julia Set, is this correct?
Yeah, the Julia Set.
Yeah, the Julia Set. Tell me about this because I just think that's an incredible accomplishment. Like you and Marseille not taking a minute before you're like, yeah, I'm going to go produce something.
Listen, Marseille is on a whole other different planet. Like I look up to her. She is like, she's incredible with what she does.
But both of y'all are doing your thing at a very young age. So yeah, talk about that. And then also this incredible cast that you assemble as well.
Well, I mean, first and foremost, like the Julia Set premieres at TIFF and I want to say like 3 or 4 weeks. And I am so excited for that to happen and for me to get to see the whole cast again and for me to see the film because I haven't seen it in a good amount of time. And I know that now it's like very close to being done. So I'm excited to see it and I hope people are excited to see it and they connect with it in any shape or form. But I poured so much love into it. The writer director Nikki poured so much love into it. But yeah, this is my first thing I got to executive produce. And that's something else I can't believe I actually got to happen. Like, again, like there's things that you say out into the world and you say to people and you're like, oh, it'd be like really cool if this happened. But I never thought that I would get the opportunity to do that at this age and so early on in my career. But like I've been with the Julia set since I want to say like I auditioned for the Julia set and One Battle After Another at the same time, like the same week.
Wow.
And so I've been with the Julia set for a good amount of time, and I've seen it go through a lot of different forms, but at the core, like the root of the story and the central point of Julia and her storyline always stayed true. And like I fell in love with the story from the first reading, and my love only continued to grow, just getting to watch it build over time. And I just felt very lucky that out the gate, like I clicked so well with Nikki Byrne, who wrote and directed this, and then just getting to see the cast slowly start to get built, the closer that we got to actually getting to go, it was a wonderful thing to see a movie be built from the ground up. And I even didn't see it from like base level ground, because they had been working on developing this movie for long before it graced my desk. But getting to see something be built from day one to then see final product and be shown in front of people is something that I feel very proud of. And I also feel very like connected to this story and connected to Julia and connected to everybody on this project, because we poured so much love into it. And like at times like Nikki, the director, and Jeff, one of our producers, and I would always say like, this is the little movie that could, because it's about a female mathematician. And I just hope that people get to watch it and they can find either a sliver of hope, they can find a sliver of themselves in Julia, or themselves and other people in the story. And I don't know, I just hope that people enjoy it and connect to it. And I feel like I just keep going on a tangent, right? I'm like dancing in circles.
No, you're good. You can tell you're really passionate about it, and I'm honestly excited to see it. I will be at TIFF.
Yay!
Hopefully, I don't know what day it premieres, but hopefully I can run into you there. Thank you so much, Chase, again, and congratulations.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much.